And like I said earlier, a content update doesn't have to be an overhaul or a rewrite. It can be an FAQ insert. It could be updating your sources and links. If you want to update your content, I would even just take a look at those small things and actually provide more value than what was already on the page.
Welcome to the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast, where we talk all things brand building SEO, helping you connect with your audience, elevate your visibility, and grow your business. I'm your host, Crystal Waddell, here to bridge the gap between SEO strategy and real-world business success by bringing you insights, stories, and conversations from the SEO community and beyond. Whether you're an entrepreneur, marketer, or SEO enthusiast, this is your place to learn, share, and build a brand that stands out. So grab a coffee or your favorite tea, and let's dive into smarter SEO for your business. When you have content that's already ranking and it stays ranking for a long time, do you leave it alone, or is it just a matter of, okay, update it no matter what to see if you can push it even further?
Yes, that's a really good question. There's a few different situations in which there's some nuance here. I would say if your piece of content is ranking number one for your target keyword and it's hitting that goal that you have for it in terms of traffic and revenue, meaning if you chose that keyword to drive certain conversions or business engagement, whatever it might be, then I think it's totally fine to just leave it alone, except for the case of a YMYL niche, which is that you might still rank number one if it has outdated information. But if it impacts someone's life, I think that always, to me, is more valuable than a ranking or growing traffic to a page. And honestly, like even if you update certain information, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll lose that ranking or lose that positioning. You might actually find that if you're ranking number one, but you're not in the featured snippet, if you update the content, you'll find that you might be in the featured snippet or an AI overview, or people also ask about these areas that could be very valuable to users, because that to me is always the most important part, is that this article is valuable to the user. And then of course we want it to rank highly and to bring in traffic revenue. So they could even be small changes. If you're writing about something that impacts someone's life, whatever it might be, whether it's healthcare or another type of niche, you could make a small update. And then you can even reflect that it was updated in a certain time or certain day to show that it was refreshed. And I think that is honestly a win-win for everyone, the search engine, for your business, and for the user.
You mentioned there might be opportunities to rank in like a featured snippet or some of the other search engine results page elements. How do you determine if there's other opportunities and other elements to rank for, say if people also ask, or featured snippet or whatever?
Yeah, you could determine that by searching your target keyword in Google and taking a look at where your article is and where it isn't. So first, one of the most important things is to see, what is Google displaying for this keyword? Are they displaying a video pack, which means you might want to add a video to your article? Are they displaying an AI overview with kind of the list of websites to the right side and then the AI overview on the left side? And then there are certain ways that you can update your content so that you can get into those SERPs. One way that I like to update is if I don't already have an FAQ section on my article, I like to go to the people also ask box, which is usually found toward the middle of the search results page or maybe a little bit above that, and take those questions and see, am I ranking in these questions, because they're related to your target keyword. And then you could just add those questions as an FAQ and answer them. They don't have to be long at all. Maybe, depending on the question, 3 to 5 sentences. You could even do it yourself if you don't want to really engage your writer at the moment and you want to just quickly do it, right? And that's a great way to provide a simple, valuable update. Like I said, updates don't have to be complicated, and that's one way of doing it. And then, like I said, if there's like a video or image pack, which means Google is showing a selection of relevant videos to your target keyword, that might be something that you want to add as well to your article. So this is really aligning the article with intent of what the user is actually looking for when they're searching it, not just based on what you decided to write or put in your article at the time. And another important part of this is that things can change over time. So meaning you might have written your article in a certain way, and it could be a great article, 6 months or 12 months down the line, things might change. Google maybe probably added an AI overview, right? Like they're all over the place now. But also your competitors might have started adding videos to their content. And then Google said, actually, users can use a video to find this answer. If users are then searching and like clicking on the videos, then that shows that it's valuable. So these are ways that you can make your content more valuable through updates.
I don't think we've ever talked about your money, your life on this podcast. So could you define YMYL?
Yeah. YMYL is your money or your life, which means that a topic or piece of content will significantly or even just relatively impact someone's life. So it would impact a decision that they would make. It would impact where they spend their money or their health or kind of their lifestyle. So content and topics that fall under this niche are held to a higher standard by Google because they are just more sensitive to a person's life. So that's primarily the niche that I've worked in throughout my career. So I've developed a lot of strategies and different areas where I like to really hone in on it because I also am passionate about, I guess, like people and like people's like lives, which is why I like the healthcare niche. So that is also valuable and I guess like important to me. So I like to make sure the content that I produce, whether it's YMYL or not, really focuses on the user and can positively impact their lives instead of course, advise them to do something that wouldn't be helpful or wouldn't be beneficial to them.
Okay, so let's talk about not beneficial or not helpful for a second. What about people who just update the year on their content and call that updating?
Yeah, so I would not advise updating just the year or just the month or day. That is not putting the user first. That is definitely putting your own business and website first. It's really not ethical, but also I don't think that Googlebot and Google search engines it's advanced at this point in 2024. So they will likely see that you just updated the date and not the content. It's very unlikely that you would reap the benefits of an actual update. And then also furthermore, if you have a blog, you can assume and you could even ask your customers if they read your blog. And those are people that are invested in your company and likely think highly of you. So you really want to think of them and think of the user and say, am I providing the best content to them? And like I said earlier, a content update doesn't have to be an overhaul or a rewrite. It can be an FAQ insert. It could be updating your sources and links. If you want to update your content, I would even just take a look at those small things and actually provide more value than what was already on the page.
Wow, I love that. I think that's so important. I was thinking also about internal links. Is that something that you recommend in terms of, okay, that could be an easy way to update? And external links, is that something that you should do for your content, or do you really just want to make sure people stay on your site?
So for internal links, that's a very good point, Crystal, for internal links. If you're consistently publishing new content, then there are likely links that you have not internally linked to the original piece of content that you might be updating. So content updates, that's a great area. That's a great aspect to update, which is to add new links to this older piece of content. So that's definitely a great chance to do that. And then for external links, they can be quite valuable. In my experience, whenever I am advising a healthcare client, I always say to add a source to as many claims as you can, because that will also impact EAT. So that is experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, which is essentially also very important in the YMYL space. So external links are going to show that you have done your research and that this claim comes from a valuable and reliable source. So sources that I like to include in articles are .gov links, .edu, or scientific journals, scientific studies to show that there is value to this. And we didn't just see it on a random website and now we're including it. One tip that a lot of companies find very valuable that I share is a great way to find very valuable external links is to look at your competitors' external links. And usually if it's an important website that, invests a lot in SEO, you might be able to scroll down to the bottom and find their sources section and then pull those and use them in your article. It's a very great tip, especially if you're in a YMYL niche, because then you will be sending those same trust signals to your website. And that essentially is staying competitive and being competitive in that space.
Awesome. That is a really great tip. And I'm thinking now just back to Google Search Console and evaluating your content and the keywords. I'm still looking for that process. These are the things that we could do. But if you were evaluating a piece of content, and let's say it had plateaued, you recognize it's time for an update to happen. What signals or what information can you pull from that page's data that can help you make better updates?
Yes, absolutely. Love that question. So first thing that you'll want to do is to put your target keyword into Google and understand who's ranking above you, like who are your competitors. And I went over this in my talk because there are a few areas that you also want to consider, because the search results could be a lot different from when you first published the article. Did a highly authoritative website update their content? They are just going to rank above you, unfortunately, now. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't update it. It's just something to be aware of. But then there are also things like AI overviews, which can actually decrease the traffic coming to your website, which can make it like a little unsure, like, should I still update this if an AI overview is taking my traffic? But then there's also things like Reddit and Quora, which might be ranking above you as well, which just means maybe the search intent has changed. Now people are looking for forums and for other people's inputs. But with all that said, there's still a lot of areas for people to consider when they update their content and creating a process. So are you missing essential headers? That's one area, which is that you can look at your competitors' headers, H1s, H2s, H3s, and see, are you missing actually key points to this topic that could provide significant value? So I like to use a Google Doc and copy and paste your article, go into suggested edit, and then start making some changes that you would like to see. Whether you have an editor or writer doing these edits, or maybe it's you, it's still like really nice to see those changes on the Google Doc. So maybe you want to add a new H2, H3, but then another important aspect to the process is there actually information that you should remove because it's too much and it's not even really relevant to the topic anymore. Maybe it was when you first published it, but removing the content can actually make it more valuable because you're essentially niching down the topic. I know that could be painful for a lot of people because you might have paid, right, to get this content and now you're removing it, but you could consider making it a new article. You could put that content somewhere else on your website to repurpose it and bring more value to another page. So there are so many things that you can change on your website that's not even necessarily adding, it could be taking away. So these are a few areas to consider when you're ready to make that update.
Okay. I know we're running out of time here because I'm like, it's like you covered so much, but I still have a couple of questions. I think I would totally miss the mark for 2025 if I didn't ask about this, because I was thinking about Bing and I was thinking about ChatGPT. Going to Google to see how you're performing is important. Do you think you should also do the same in the ChatGPT like search engine? Or is there anything else that you would do additionally because of these changes in search?
Yes. This was the first question I got when I stepped off of the stage of writing. And I was like, I wish I could have added this to my talk, but I just did not have enough time. And I also wanted to be really focused on stage on like the topic. But I do really like this question. I would say one thing that you can do is to copy and paste your article into ChatGPT and say, I'm going to update this piece of content. What should I add or what should I remove? You can simply do that and see what it says. I always say, take ChatGPT with a grain of salt, because for SEO, we don't always know the impact that it has when we're using it for search engines. And we also want to make sure that, again, going back to the YMYL, is that we're adding value and we're not just going by now another search engine of ChatGPT or another LLM to add value. We want to put the user first. So I would say you could even ask to what information could be helpful to the user and see what it comes back with. You could also use it for external links and see if it could give you studies or external URLs that would be helpful to add and that you might be missing for claims that you might have in the article. And also another area that is not just for content updates, but like the way that I have been using it lately is just for content briefs. Like you can create essentially like a new content brief using ChatGPT and cross-check it searching the keyword yourself in Google and seeing like what areas you might be missing, where you could provide more value and things like that. So right now, I'm not super advanced like with using AI in the content updates, but I do absolutely see its value and it really can streamline the process and ultimately make your content a lot better, which is the goal.
Oh my goodness, Alyssa, thank you so much for tying that all up. It was fantastic. So you mentioned that you work with healthcare brands. If someone wants to work with you, how can they get in contact with you? And of course, I'll drop these links in the show notes as well.
Awesome. Yeah. To get in contact with me, you could visit my website, which is alyssacorso.com. You could also find me on LinkedIn, just Alyssa Corso. And you could also email me if you'd like. I'm super open. I love chatting about this topic for people who want tips or even want to see my slides from Brighton. I'm happy to share them, which is just Alyssa@alyssacorso.com.
All of this was just so great and so valuable. I appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to me today and coming on the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast.
Yes, thank you so much, Crystal, for having me. I really enjoyed being here.
Awesome. I will catch you guys next time and have a great week.